Although
Yep.
don't try to make sweet sweet love to a book because it is going to end badly for you.
Oh God.
And I'm uncomfortable again. Moving on.
Paper cut from my dick.
Yes, I'm doing my job.
Speaking of Xbox stuff, I guess that's a poor segue. Don't worry about Xbox Scorpio's price, says Phil Spencer. This is coming from IGN. Head of Xbox, Phil Spencer, has come forward to address the price of its upcoming console, codenamed Project Scorpio. Assuaging fears? Is that
Assuaging.
Assuaging? Will be priced far above that of a typical console. In an interview with NZ Gamer, Spencer said Microsoft designed the Xbox One S and Scorpio in parallel and, quote, thought about the price performance of what we wanted to hit with Scorpio relative to what we were going to be able to do with the S. As such, Microsoft aims to offer the consumer, quote, a good price continuum, so people wouldn't look at these two things as so disconnected because of the price delta. Spencer went on to say that he thinks Xbox Scorpio will feel like it's a premium product, a premium console, and not something any more than that. Because of this, the Xbox boss said people shouldn't be worried that this thing is going to be unlike any console price you've ever seen, as they, quote, didn't see it design it that way. He also highlighted the different hard drive size options currently available for the Xbox One S and how that product line is a good indication of what can be expected from the company going forward. There's one little part of this that I kind of got stuck on, and not something anything. It was the part he said where shouldn't be worrying. Worried that this thing is going to be unlike any console price you've ever seen. We've seen a PlayStation 3 for $600. So
I was just about to bring up that point.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that doesn't sound great.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll do that.
I hope they don't.
I mean, to me, all this says is just Phil Spencer is like, hey, it's not like to Scorpio. I'm sorry, I'm getting like fucking tongue twisted over here. Scorpio, to me, we need to temper our expectations. I don't think it's going to blow your fucking heads off whenever we're seeing footage of it. I think it's going to be similar to the PS4 Pro and how it's going to be running 4K, but on 1080p streams. You know, like, we're going to see this thing. It's not going to fucking explode. I think it's going to be awesome. I feel like it's going to be bigger than the PS4 Pro at least, but like the idea that this is going to revolutionize the way that we think about consoles, I think is a bit silly, a bit much. And something that at least games press and games media are very easy to jump on is like a good talking point. I think the Scorpio, from what I expect, 400 maybe.
I'm gonna go upwards of 500.
I would place it as
the max you'll see.
I think basically, if you boil it down to what Phil is trying to say, and obviously this is my perspective and what I kind of interpret he's saying, is he's trying to say, look, don't worry about it, guys. You know what you can expect from us. Look at the Xbox One S. Look at the pricing. Look at the different models that you can do. Look at the way that we're optimizing this for gamers. We're putting stuff in here that you want and not anything extra, but we're going to make sure that this is the best thing that you can get. Like, because in my opinion, the PS4 Pro isn't as good as the Xbox One S, in my personal opinion. Xbox One S is cheaper. It's got the Blu-ray 4K drive in there that the PS4 doesn't have. And I feel like with the decisions that they've been making since Phil took over, Xbox One, whether it's standard or S or Scorpio, they're making good moves. They're making prudent and shrewd business decisions that are positioning the Xbox in a really great place. So if he says don't worry about it, although it is, I mean, it could be PR speak, whatever. I mean, it is going to be. He's going to say stuff. But he also comes out and just says stuff the way that it is. If he says don't worry about it, this is going to be something good. It's going to be a premium product. It's going to run stuff well. It's going to be like a next step. Like, I'm inclined to believe him.
Yeah, I definitely feel that way too. I mean, I think if there's anything that Phil Spencer has shown us in these past like 2 years he's been running the Xbox camp, is that he knows what he's doing. Like, he's turned the conferences around completely. Like, it's all about the games now. And the Xbox One S is basically the thing that needed to happen. It's, you know, it's a perfect redesign of the Xbox One. It fixes a lot of the problems the Xbox One had. And it's somehow, even though it's completely and utterly graphically inferior to the PS4 Pro, it's still being seen as the better console, which is ridiculous. I mean, that means they had such better marketing behind their product. That means that they put it in the right spot and they really put something that was, you know, attractive to their base, which, you know, is something that the PS4 Pro fucked up on. And I don't think that the Scorpio will go down the same path as the PS4 Pro. I think they'll probably try to have similar messaging that the S had.
I think the S is a really interesting spot.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's all luck to me. You know, whenever the S originally came out, everyone was like, why would you buy an S when you know the Scorpio's on the way? Why would you do this? You know, it doesn't... You know, people were praising that the power brick was gone, but, like, I felt like there was pretty much a big, like... People were sort of swiping it under the rug, being like, don't worry about that. PS4 Pro's coming, Xbox One Scorpio's coming, this doesn't matter. And now that the PS4 Pros come out, and because of the context that the world is in now, they see the Xbox One S and they're like, oh, okay, this is a better option. Even though the Scorpio's still on the way, everything's still true. Which I've always thought was a weird argument to have to begin with, because to me, the One S is just a cheaper option. You don't need to fucking buy the Scorpio if you don't have that much money. But, no, Scorpio to me, I think... I mean, I've said this countless times on this podcast. I think the Scorpio and the PS4 Pro are meant to, maybe not the PS4 Pro because it's coming from Sony. They got to sell 4K technology, stuff like this. But to me, at least, the Scorpio is meant to get the price point of the console back up to something that will make them more money. Because if you compare the actual revenue from like units sold compared to last gen, even though we're selling more units, the actually revenue that people are getting from these console sales are actually sort of comparable to last gen. So I think this is just an attempt to sort of bump that up.
I have a question about that, actually. Do you think that wasn't what I was getting out of it at all, but I'm wondering if you think that they'll be making more because the technology is a lot more advanced in the Scorpio based on just the kind of benchmark that they told us to expect from it. And it's that much further ahead of the Xbox One. Do you think that they're going to still be able to get a higher margin off of that newer technology, even though it's like
you mean
on
like
the same level as like the new
tech's gonna be
GTX?
so high? I mean, that's an interesting point, but I mean, I feel like whenever this thing comes out, because we still don't know have a release date, I'm assuming if the soonest we could get this late next year, just because like
didn't they say that explicitly
about it really?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Did they?
They said they were going to talk about it at the next E3, which would imply a 2017 release later. Like
okay,
holiday
well,
2017.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
well,
I was
still,
thinking
soonest we can get then next holiday, and that's going to be enough time that I would assume that the manufacturing costs for these sorts of things are going to go down a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
The NX might be out by then too. Isn't that weird?
That's a good point, man.
You should freaking hope so.
Yeah, I hope they've even talked about it by then.
I'm not allowing us to go back to that. Back onto the Scorpio.
I just think the Scorpio has been a little overblown just because we've heard that number of the teraflops. I think that has been something that people have gotten into their mind, and they're, oh shit, this is going to be huge. And like if you compare the teraflops to teraflops, you know, the PS4 Pro is still a wide margin better than the PS4, but the difference is not seen.
Is it like 4.5 versus the projected 6 for the Scorpio?
I think so.
Yeah, and the new, if you look at like the new 10,
standard, that's like 1 something, right?
Yeah, and if you look at like the 1070, 1080, those are a bit higher than that, but it's more in line with what the Scorpio would be. So the Scorpio would be close as far as a console is concerned, the closest that it's been to sort of the PC benchmarks. Unless, of course, you're like using 2 cards, like 2 1080s or something like that.
Yeah.
In which case, you're just a ridiculous person, and what are you even doing?
Yeah.
I don't have to buy a new computer for 20 years.
Exactly.
Exactly. PC. But yeah, I mean, I think it was the proposal was 6 teraflops, so that's the Titan X basically, as far as the card is considered. But I think that the jump between the Xbox One and the original Xbox One and the Xbox One Scorpio, the Scorpio whatever, is going to be a much bigger jump than what was PS4 and PS4 Pro. But at the same time, I still think they may run into the same issue that the PS4 Pro reveal ran into, which is trying to show it, like trying to show what the differences are.
I have no doubt. I mean, think about it. We're also going to be looking at the same exact games, running on both of these consoles.
Yeah.
It's not like we're going to be seeing like a whole new generation of games coming out. It's going to be the same games, just with higher textures and faster running frame rates, if possible.
Yeah.
So
Have they said explicitly that all games that come out on the Scorpio have to also come out for the standard Xbox One models?
Yes, they have. They've said in the E3 conference that, like, quote, nobody gets left behind.
You're right. You're right.
So it was a very clear message that they put out, and I remember them being praised for that because they said straight up, "We are not leaving behind the Xbox One."
So all we'll see, if we're looking at best case scenario, people with a Scorpio will be looking at performance boosts or resolution boosts or things like that. Whereas, so I guess, that would make sense with what he's saying. You're looking at a premium product. If you want the newest, biggest thing, if you've got a TV that's got 4K and HDR, like, you're gonna be able to take advantage of that. Whereas if you've just got your standard Xbox One, you're not. So, I guess new shiny, but.
And he said that much. I mean, I think that's why they purposely pushed it to 2017, because 4K is starting to steadily make its way. I was at Best Buy just a couple of days ago, and I saw a 4K TV for like $600. Like that means that the technology is now here. Like, it's now available. It's affordable now. So
it's actually getting hard to find a TV that isn't 4K. I just bought one recently, and there were only like 2 TVs at the Best Buy that were even like just 1080p.
Yeah. And honestly, that makes sense. I mean, especially since 4K has now become cheap, it makes sense to push 4K now. So, I guess eventually when my TV goes, I'll probably end up getting a 4K TV.
Get ready for 16K. Whoa. Oh, yeah. Brand new Xbox.
We're going to start hearing about it. I mean, I think LG, I think maybe at a conference, it was definitely this year, showed off an 8K TV.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Why not?
Just because why not?
But they're just, I think it was a why not. I don't think they're like, we're gonna push this.
They're like, we can do this.
Because aren't they getting to the point where like you can't even distinguish it like with the human eye? Basically.
Check it out. It's a 32K TV.
I mean, I think at that point, like,
$85,000.
I think at that point you literally won't be able to see the
Somebody
difference.
did come out and say that you will not be able to tell the difference between native 4K and upscale 4K with the naked eye between the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One Scorpio. Yeah, who's...
It makes sense if you look at those graphs that they put out.
It was the developers of Rime. That's who it was.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Well, when they come out with a game, then I'll listen to what they have to say.
Good point.
Really. I want that game. It looks
Where
good.
is it, guys? Where is it?